Hello everybody and welcome to Vlogmas. Today we are going to talk about Miss Oprah and her weight loss scandal. And if you're not sure what the weight loss scandal is with Oprah, it is the fact that she has been using weight loss medication, probably more than likely Ozempic, though it could also be Wegovy. And if you are an Oprah fan, this is probably not for you. I'm just gonna call it like I see it. I don't know what happened to my beauty blender. I'm gonna call it like I see it, and I am so sorry in advance, okay, for what I'm about to tell you. All right, so if you are not aware, Oprah has struggled with her weight for years. And I actually made a video about this a couple of years ago about how obesity is a trauma response. And it's not just this genetic issue that people try and make it out to be. Do I think that people are more predisposed to obesity if their parents are obese? Absolutely. But we're not really sure if that's actually environmental or habitual or if it's genetic. One thing that we do know is that the longer you're overweight, the more your genes are turned on to be more overweight. So the less your body responds to exercise and the more resistant it is to carbohydrates and things like that. So we know that there is some shift that happens in the body as people stay in obesity for prolonged periods of time, and it does affect their children. So I want to say that because I don't want to come across as someone who's not aware of the actual factors that affect obesity. Yes, to a degree, obesity can have a genetic component, but it's not as big as everyone wants to believe that it is. Okay, that's what I'm gonna say about that. So Oprah has struggled with her weight for years and she's been shamed. And that I do not agree with. She has been shamed in the media. They've called her whale. They've called her Humpty Dumpty. They have called her all sorts of names. And if you've watched Oprah for any long period of time, you guys also know that she has also done hundreds and hundreds of different diets. Like her weight has fluctuated tremendously over the past 30, 40 years. Okay. And she's been one to do Weight Watchers. She's done, the cayenne cleanses and cabbage diets and soup diets and all of these like fad diets. She's had doctors on her show to talk about these things. So we know that she was into extreme forms of dieting. And here's the thing, you guys, and this is where people are not going to like me. I don't know why people are surprised that this is what she's doing. The person who was doing, Weight Watchers and cleanses and all that, like, of course she's going to use weight loss medication. Of course. Why are we surprised? I think the problem is that we have upheld Oprah to the standard of angelic, she can never do any wrong. She's always in the right. She's got this moral superiority that, is really not valid, or there's really not any evidence for that, but we have held her to a standard. And she herself has said in the past, oh, weight loss drugs are cheating. Okay. Now, whether or not you agree with that or not is none of my business. Okay. That's really, I don't care about that. But she has said in the past that it's cheating. But based on her history with dieting and exercise, it does not shock me that she has chosen to go this route. Here's what I think. And then we're going to read some of the article. Okay. For someone like Oprah, who has billions and billions of dollars, she could hire a fantastic mindset psychologist, nutrition coach, dietitian, trauma healer who could help her cope with life without using food. That's what bothers me. There are people who do the inner work to figure out why their response to trauma is eating. And there are people who do not have the funds to go buy Ozempic or to go buy Wegovy, and they have to do the inner work, the tough work of sitting with their emotions, of reliving their trauma and dissipating their trauma so that their response is not to eat. They have to work on new habits so that their response is not to eat. Because if we want to be honest, in my video, obesity is a trauma response. No one gets to be 300, 400 pounds because on their own. It's usually because of trauma. And Monique and Adele have talked about this. They've been honest how it was a trauma response. Like their food, their emotional eating was a trauma response. And the difference between Monique and Adele, and I don't know if they've used weight loss drugs, they may have, but at least they told the truth, which is I had to deal with the trauma that I dealt with as a child so that I could actually be healthy. Because whenever someone is eating that much, it's because they're running away from something. They're covering something up. And so what's frustrating for me is that there are people, clients that I have that are like really intensely doing the work. I hate that phrase, but they're doing the work, as Corporate Aaron says. And they're making sure that they deal with their trauma so they can go out in the world and make healthy, conscious food decisions. And that's the real work, right? Because when the weight loss medication goes away, you guys, the weight comes back. The weight comes back. So if you never deal with the underlying issue, the weight comes back. You guys, I had a conversation with my surgeon, believe it or not. I had to have a small surgery done and I was awake. So we were just chatting, numb, but awake. So we were just chatting and he was like, oh, you're a health coach. And we started chatting and he goes, you know, I get the purpose of these drugs, especially for patients who are diabetic and for people who have PCOS. But he goes, at the end of the day, they've got to learn how to manage that food. They've got to learn how to manage their emotions. And he said, so that's why I have trouble with these medications, because they don't work. Like they're not doing they're not encouraging the person to actually do the work. So love my surgeon. He was so sweet. He was like, tell your sister, my sister's gonna be a doctor. He's like, tell her to contact me. I'll help her out. So I will. I will do that for sure. So anyway, just something to think about in terms of the medication. So that's what frustrates me about Oprah. Like I really don't care one way or another, but I do think it's frustrating as someone who works with people who don't have nearly as much money as Oprah, and they're sitting there working through their trauma and working through their issues so that they can, so that they can just live a normal life and not emotionally eat. And then she's going to go ahead and put, she's going to say, oh, it's genetic and I need to fix it genetically. So let me read some of the comments from her that really kind of got on my nerves. Obesity is a disease. It's not about willpower. It is about the brain. So she's right about one thing. Obesity is about the brain, but it's not about the brain in a sense of, well, we just need to cover it up with a medication. It's about the brain in the sense that if you do not learn how to rewire your brain from trauma, you will always have the same responses. It's a disease in the same way addiction is a disease. You want to talk about it? And it's highly frustrating, again, as someone who works with these clients who are like working their tails off. Like, I mean, really working their butts off to go see a therapist and resolve their trauma, for her to just chalk it up to being a disease and saying, well, gonna use some medication for it. And listen, I get it. I completely understand that if you have a PCOS, if you have diabetes, and you just need this as help to get you down to where you need to be, I understand that. The problem is that most people will take this drug and never be able to come off. Never. And I have heard stories from people that they become addicted to the drug because their fear is, I can't lose weight without this drug. So when the drug runs out, this is never going to be an Oprah problem. But for us normal human beings, when the drug runs out, they're freaking out because they don't trust themselves to be able to lose their weight on their own. And I'm not saying that it's easy. People look at me and they think that I've been 135 pounds my whole life. At one point, I was 190 pounds. Okay, you want to talk about it? I was 190 pounds. And my body did not want to lose weight. And guess what I was doing also at that time? I was also binge eating. But people are not ready for that honest conversation. People don't want to talk about that. They don't. They want to pretend like this is all, like Oprah said, it's just a brain disease. It's just a brain disease. And I'm like, it's not. It's not. And listen, I don't hold Oprah in any high regard, to be honest, if I'm being 100% honest with you guys. I don't hold her in any high regard. I don't think she's this angelic, can do no wrong character. I'm not shocked. But unfortunately, a lot of people do. And a lot of people are going to look at this and go, okay, well, if Oprah's doing it, I'm going to do it too. And I just wish that celebrities were more honest about the fact that it's a lot of work to learn how to eat properly. It's a lot of work to learn how to deal with your trauma, and just say that. And say that I'm tired of fighting. There was another quote in here that I want you guys to read. I want to read to you guys. I now use it as I feel I need it, as a tool to manage not yo-yoing. Yes, because you've been yo-yo dieting your whole life, and we've all seen it on television. And someone's going to be like, "You're shaming Oprah." No, I'm telling the truth. At some point, we can't call everything shaming. I'm telling the truth. You want to stop yo-yo dieting? Deal with your trauma. Period. At the end of the day, you're still using a medication to cover up the real work that has to be done. Now, listen, I will say, if I'm being honest, I don't know if Oprah's done the work. So I can't really say that. But what I do know is when someone has done the work, they're less likely to need a medication because they're not going to be yo-yo dieting. Yo-yo dieting is a result of binging and restricting and binging and restricting and binging and restricting. And when you're binging and restricting and binging and restricting, that's because you haven't actually done the work to sustain healthy eating habits. And it's hard. It's hard. I don't want to pretend like it's not. That's the thing, is like, it is hard. And I never want to discount that. And there are going to be people who will always choose the easier way. Yes, it is easier to lose weight with a medication than it is without. Whether you want to call it cheating or this or that is totally up to you. But it is easier. Okay? And yes, she's not yo-yo dieting, because a lot of these drugs completely take away your hunger. So you're not even hungry. So I imagine this is such a stretch and a leap, and I don't know, but if she's using it as she needs to, what's happening is, oh, I ate too much, let me use the medication to stop my appetite. And then, so it's another form of, y'all ain't ready to talk about it. Okay, what else did she say? I want to acknowledge this part. She says, I worked so hard. I know that if I'm not also working out and vigilant about the other things, it doesn't work for me. I'm so glad she said that. She goes, I took the medication before Thanksgiving because I knew I was going to have 2 solid weeks of gaining. Instead of gaining weight, like I did last year, I gained half a pound. It quiets the food noise. So let me tell you something. If your mind is preoccupied by food, what are you running from? Y'all ain't ready. Y'all are not ready for what's going on. Y'all are not ready, and that's why I keep saying you need to see a therapist. You should not be preoccupied with food. Oh, y'all messing up my I'm singing. Okay? Period. You should not be preoccupied with food like that. When you are preoccupied with food, that tells me that you are still running. So what your brain does, and I say this because I've worked with so many clients who have this issue, And guess what? I've successfully helped clients not think about food all day. If you are constantly thinking about food, your brain is trying to run away from a thought, a memory, a pattern, or something. Okay? You are addicted to food. Because remember, with addiction, you're not just addicted to the thing, you're also addicted to the absence of pain. Come on now. Hallelujah. Ashabarabo. You know what I mean? Can we talk about it? So I saw an Instagram post, tangent, about Oprah, because it was, I'll tell you what it was Afro Girl Fitness, and someone commented and said, Oprah's on weight loss drugs. And the girl goes, Oprah said she would never use weight loss drugs. And I was like, Oprah's on weight loss drugs. Because we believe, we have this idea of Oprah that she can do no wrong, right? I knew she was on them things. She's not ready to do the work. She's not. And people, like, we're not allowed to tell the truth in society. So someone's going to be like, she hates fat people. Blah, blah. No, I work with athletes all the way up to people who are 400 pounds. And there's no hate. It's just desire for you to see the value and the power that's already within you to change. It's not hate. It's actually my ability to see that this is just one transference to another. It's just one addiction to another. Let's continue. Though she's 7 pounds away from her goal weight of 160 pounds, it's not about the number, Winfrey said. Instead, she's content building the progress she's made 2 years since her surgery. It was a second shot for me to live a more vital and vibrant life. I eat my last meal at 4 o'clock, drink a gallon of water a day, and use the Weight Watchers principles of counting points. I had an awareness of weight loss medications, but felt I had to prove I had the willpower to do it. I now no longer feel that way. So she's intermittent fasting, which you guys know causes yo-yo dieting. You want to talk about it? When you intermittent fast and you don't intermittent fast properly, you will yo-yo diet. Because your body will respond and say, hey, we haven't eaten for 16, 20 hours and we're hungry. And if you're not getting enough nutrients, you're not getting enough protein, you're not getting enough carbs, and you're not getting enough fat, your body will respond accordingly. So anyway, that's my video on Oprah. Of course, I expected her to use weight loss drugs. I think that when you have the money and the means to do so, of course you will. I think that everyone has the right to do whatever they need to do to lose weight. Do I think it's the best decision? Absolutely not. Did I expect anything less from her? Absolutely not. This is the woman who has touted diet after diet after diet, who has gone through weight loss surgery. What makes you think she wouldn't do this? The question is, what are you going to do about your weight? What are you going to do? If this is your problem, are you going to get the help that you need so that you can stay on the right path? That's really the question. What are you going to do? Because no, I don't really care what Oprah got going on. She's got billions of dollars. She's living her life. Oprah doesn't care about what we think. But the question is, what are you going to do? Are you going to rely on an injectable if you don't really need it? Some people, they do. Some people really need it. They genuinely need the injectable. I believe that. Some people don't. All right, you guys. I will see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.